It was 3:14 a.m. when the air in my room shifted, not a sound, not a breeze, just a stillness so thick that it felt like time itself had paused to listen. I opened my eyes, expecting to see nothing but darkness. Instead, the shadows looked alive, trembling like they were holding their breath. I sat up, confused, heart-pounding, whispering, "Lord, is that you?" And then it came, not a shout, not thunder, a whisper that felt like lightning in my bones. "Tell them I'm at the door." Everything inside me froze, my body went still, but my spirit began to tremble. It wasn't fear, it was recognition. That voice carried the same weight, the same infinite gentleness that had spoken to me before. But this time, it wasn't a message of comfort, it was a call to attention. I looked at the clock again, 3:14 a.m. The moment felt deliberate, timed, wholly surgical. The whisper came again, clearer, almost sorrowful. "The door is open, but they do not see it." As soon as those words left eternity, the room vanished. I was somewhere else, suspended between light and shadow, standing on what looked like glass, stretching endlessly in every direction. Above me, the sky churned with living color, gold folding into crimson, crimson into white, and in front of me stood a door. It wasn't made of wood or stone. It was alive. Light flowed through it like blood through veins. And behind that door, I could feel the pulse of heaven. I fell to my knees. The presence was overwhelming. Beauty and sorrow interwoven, holiness that didn't need to speak to be understood. Then Jesus appeared. He didn't step from behind the door. He was the door. Light flowing from his hands, his eyes burning with both fire and compassion. "Tell them," he said again, "I'm not far. I'm closer than they believe. My hand is on the handle." His voice echoed through every part of me. I tried to speak, but words broke apart in my throat. He looked out across the horizon, the sea of glass turning into reflections of our world, cities, nations, churches, families, they sing about me. He said softly, "But few are ready to meet me." Then, as he stretched out his hand, the reflections changed. I saw churches filled with light, people worshiping, hands raised. But their hearts were somewhere else. The light around them flickered, unstable, fading. In contrast, I saw small rooms, dimly lit spaces where only 2 or 3 gathered. There was no spectacle there, no stage, no applause, only sincerity, and in those hidden places the light blazed brighter than the sun. "These are my ready ones," he said. "They have oil in their lamps. Their hearts are awake even in the dark." A wave of wind rolled across the sea of glass. It wasn't natural wind. It was movement that came from his breath. The glass rippled, and I saw time bending, moments collapsing, past, present, and near future merging like rivers into one. "The world calls this chaos," he said, "but I call it convergence. Heaven and earth are aligning for my return. The door stands between mercy and judgment." Then he turned and looked directly at me. His eyes were both terrifying and tender. "The kind that see everything and still choose love. They think they have more time," he said. "They think the delay means distance, but I delay because I love. Every second I hold the door open, another soul has the chance to walk through it." I felt my heart break. I could sense his grief. Grief not from anger, but from watching people sleep through the hour of visitation. "Tell them," he continued, "the shaking has begun, not to destroy, but to awaken. Every system that is not built on me will tremble until it falls. Every hidden idol will be revealed for what it is. The proud will be humbled, and the humble will shine." The ground beneath us began to quake, not violently but rhythmically, like the heartbeat of creation responding to his words. I saw storms forming, nations arguing, believers crying out in repentance. Yet in the chaos a pattern emerged, something divine, something inevitable. "When you see everything shaking," he said, "know that I am closer than ever. Do not fear the breaking. The breaking is how I enter." Lightning tore through the sky, but it wasn't destructive. It painted symbols across the clouds. A crown, a key, a flame. "The crown is mine," Jesus said. "The key is mercy, and the flame is truth. These 3 will move together until every soul must decide. Will you open, or will you hide?" I fell on my face trembling. The light was too strong. His words thundered inside me like a song only my spirit could hear. "The door is not in heaven," he said. "It's within them. When they open their hearts, I enter. When they resist, they seal themselves outside. My presence is knocking at every heart right now, even those who don't believe. Tears filled my eyes. I saw people sleeping in their beds, unaware of the hand reaching for them. Others scrolling through their phones, oblivious that heaven was seconds away. Tell them, he whispered, that I am not waiting in tomorrow. I am standing in now. He stepped closer, his face glowing brighter than fire. The world will soon hear me, not in sermons, not in politics, but in silence, the silence between one heartbeat and the next. Then he leaned forward, almost close enough for me to feel the warmth of eternity in my chest. Tell them the door is about to move. Tell them when it does, mercy will become memory. The light around him exploded into color. I felt myself falling, spinning, my spirit burning and breaking at the same time. And then I woke up gasping, tears running down my face, the clock glowing 3:47 a.m. The room was still but not empty. I could still feel him there, not gone, just waiting, and somewhere deep in my chest, the whisper echoed again, tell them, I'm at the door. The next night carried that same unease, the kind that hums in your chest before a storm. I told myself I'd rest, but sleep felt too fragile for what heaven was doing. I prayed quietly, Lord, if you're still speaking, I'm listening. At 3:19 a.m., the answer came. A low tremor passed through the room, not sound but movement like light had weight. The walls dissolved, and I stood once more on the sea of glass. The door of light I had seen before now burned red at its edges, pulsing like the heart of a furnace. Jesus stood beside it, the glow wrapping around him like living fire. His eyes held the same sorrowful tenderness, but his tone carried more urgency. The door of mercy is turning to fire, he said. Every flame you see is love refining what fear tried to hide. He reached toward the door, and tongues of flame poured outward, spilling over the glass without smoke or heat. Wherever the light touched, shadows broke apart. The fire did not consume, it clarified. I saw people's hearts as if they were glass vessels, some full of gold, others full of ash. I am refining my people, he said. They prayed for revival, but forgot that revival begins with exposure. The fire you fear is the same flame that will make you whole. He stepped through the burning threshold, and the world below appeared again. Cities glimmered like embers. The proud structures of men, the towers of ego, wealth, and image, shuddered as light flowed through their foundations. I saw truth spilling into government halls, secrets unraveling, idols cracking under unseen pressure. This is what happens, he said, when the door opens wider. Heaven's purity enters where compromise once ruled. It will look like collapse to the world, but it is correction. The fire curved downward, forming rivers of molten gold that wound through streets and homes. Wherever the rivers flowed, people woke from spiritual sleep. Some fell to their knees, some lifted their hands, some screamed as masks melted away. They asked for my presence, he said, but not for my purity, yet the two cannot be separated. I felt his grief in those words, a love too vast to withhold truth. He turned to me again. Tell them this is not punishment, this is preparation. I am cleansing the thresholds of hearts so that when I come in, nothing false remains. Behind him, the sky rippled with symbols, a crown, a sword, a cup. The crown gleamed like sunrise, the sword glowed white hot, the cup overflowed with something that looked like light turned to water. The crown is authority, the sword is truth, the cup is suffering, he said. Whoever opens the door must drink from all three. I wanted to look away, but his presence kept me still. The fire from the door spread into the sea beneath us, forming a mirror that showed two futures, one blazing with redemption, one collapsing under pride. The fire will not wait forever, he said softly. Each moment they resist, the flames climb higher. Tell them not to fear the heat, fear the distance. Then his tone shifted, the firmness of a king mingled with the ache of a father. When this fire reaches the nations, it will divide and unite. It will burn away pretense but ignite purpose. The same flame that consumes wickedness will empower the humble. The sea trembled harder, waves of light rising until I could barely see. I heard voices, prayers, songs, cries, all weaving into one long sound that seemed to come from both heaven and earth. These are the voices I've waited for, he said, the ones who still listen when the world screams. Then he lifted his hand. The flames obeyed, folding back toward the doorway like waves returning to their source. His face shone brighter than I could endure. Tell them. He whispered, "The fire is mercy's final form. Those who open their hearts now will glow with it. Those who harden will be broken by it. But all will know that I knocked." The sea of glass steadied, the door dimmed to a golden ember. And suddenly I was back in my room. My chest burned, not with pain, but with conviction so deep it felt alive. The clock glowed 3:52 a.m. The air still carried the scent of rain and smoke. I knew it wasn't from this world. He is not waiting to knock again. He is already at the door, and the fire that comes next will not destroy. It will decide. The following night carried a strange tension. The air felt heavy, as if the sky itself was waiting for something to break. I sat by the window long after midnight, the city asleep, my heart awake. I whispered the same prayer I'd prayed every night since the first vision. Lord, if you're still speaking, I'll listen. The clock struck 3:20 a.m. When the silence in the room deepened, not the absence of sound, something denser. The air began to pulse, rhythmic, alive. Then the whisper came again, nearer this time, not from above but from within. The shaking has begun. My body stilled, the walls faded, the floor beneath me dissolved, and I stood once again on that endless sea of glass, shimmering, alive, trembling like the surface of a great heartbeat. The door of light towered before me, and through it, fire glowed faintly like embers under wind. Jesus stood beside it, his robe flowing in the invisible current that carried eternity. His eyes met mine, tender yet unyielding. "You've seen the fire," he said softly. "Now you must see what it awakens." He lifted his hand, and the sea beneath us turned transparent. Beneath the surface, I saw the world. Cities shaking, oceans swelling, nations rising and collapsing in strange harmony. The movement wasn't chaos. It was precise, measured, divine. Every tremor the night after the vision of the shaking, I couldn't move on. Every sound felt amplified. The ticking of the clock, the hum of the wind outside, even the silence had weight. I knew another encounter was close, so I waited, not lying down this time, but kneeling at 3:24 a.m. Atmosphere changed again. A pulse, soft but endless, filled the air like a living heartbeat. The walls began to fade, and in the blink of an eye, I stood on the sea of glass once more. But it wasn't still anymore. The surface rolled like thunderclouds caught beneath my feet. The door of light that had once burned with gold and fire now stood wide open, its brilliance stretching so far I couldn't see where it ended. And then he appeared, Jesus, standing within that doorway, his presence shaking everything around us. The fire that once burned beside him now burned from him. His face shone brighter than lightning wrapped in mercy, and his voice carried the sound of eternity itself. "The shaking has awakened hearts," he said. "Now the dividing begins." I saw through the open door and witnessed something beyond words. Heaven and earth weren't separate realms anymore. They were colliding. Light spilled from the door, flooding the world like dawn breaking over an endless night. Wherever the light touched, darkness shattered, revealing what had always been hidden beneath: truth, motives, hearts. Every choice, he said, is now visible before me. The sight tore through me. Some ran toward the light, faces lifted, tears streaming as the glow wrapped around them like warmth after a long winter. Others turned away, covering their eyes, clinging to their own shadows. "This is the separation," Jesus whispered. "The sheep from the goats, the pure from the proud, the faithful from the famous." I saw leaders falling to their knees, pastors, politicians, parents, prophets, all stripped of title, left only with truth. And yet, amidst the trembling, a strange peace emerged. The light didn't condemn, it clarified. Heaven's judgment is not revenge, he said. It is restoration, but restoration always requires truth. Then his tone deepened, the kind that wraps love in warning. "Tell them, I am not only coming for my church, I am coming through my church. Those who have truly opened their hearts will carry my presence into places that have long resisted me. But those who have used my name for gain will find their lamps dark when the door shuts." He pointed toward the horizon. Through the open door, I saw angels moving across the earth like lightning given form, each carrying what looked like fragments of glass, shining like mirrors. They carry reflection, he said. They will hold up truth before every heart. No one will say they didn't see. The sky began to tremble, stars flickered and fell like embers, and I realized they weren't falling, they were descending. Each one became a soul aflame, believers rising into the radiance of his return. The scene pulsed with unbearable beauty and sorrow. This is the moment heaven and earth touch, Jesus said, the threshold of eternity. Then the sound of a door began to echo, not slamming, but closing slowly, deliberately, each creak a countdown. The tone of his voice softened. Mercy has walked long beside judgment, he whispered, but soon mercy will step aside and glory will take her place. Tears filled my eyes. Lord, I said, is there still time? He turned toward me, eyes blazing like sunrise and sunset at once. There is always time while there is breath. But the breath of this age is short. Tell them not to waste it on fear. Tell them to use it for repentance. The sea beneath us began to calm. The door's light dimmed, folding inward like the last glow of sunset. He stepped closer, so close I could feel the warmth of eternity. When they see the world shaking, when the sky feels heavy, when their hearts tremble at night, tell them not to despair, it means I am near. I tried to speak, but my voice broke. All I could whisper was, what happens when the door closes? He looked past me into something I couldn't see. Then heaven and earth will no longer be divided. Those who walked in light will walk forever in it. Those who chose shadow will find that darkness was never silence, it was separation. He reached out his hand and touched my shoulder. The moment he did, the vision cracked apart into light and sound. I gasped awake, tears burning my eyes, the clock glowing 3:59 a.m. The room was silent again, not empty. The air itself vibrated with the residue of glory. And deep in my chest, his words echoed again, steady, patient, certain. Tell them. I'm at the door. It had been days since the last vision, but the world around me didn't feel normal anymore. Every sunrise felt heavier, like heaven was leaning closer. I couldn't pray the same, speak the same, or even breathe without sensing that something had shifted in the unseen. That night, I didn't try to sleep. I sat in the quiet, Bible open on my lap, candle flickering like it knew what was coming. Outside, the world slept, but I could feel heaven watching. At 3:16 a.m., the air stilled again, the whisper returned, not distant, not soft, but near, like breath against my ear. This is the final call. The room vanished. I stood once more on the sea of glass, though this time it was calm, utterly still, reflecting both heaven above and earth below. The door of light stood before me, open wider than ever before, radiating a glow that felt like both sunrise and ending. And then I saw him. Jesus stepped forward from the door, clothed in light that no shadow could touch. His face was neither stern nor gentle. It was final. The time for persuasion had ended. The time for decision had come. I have called through dreams, he said. I have called through storms. I have called through prophets and signs and silence. And now I call through separation. This is the final knock. Behind him, the horizon pulsed with scenes from our world. Nations trembling, people arguing over everything but truth, churches chasing spectacle instead of spirit. Yet, scattered among the noise, I saw small lights flickering, homes praying, strangers forgiving, souls surrendering. These are my ready ones, he said, not perfect but purified, not proud but pierced. They have heard the whisper, and they have opened their doors. He turned his gaze to the rest of the world, those still sleeping, still mocking, still scrolling through the hours as if time belonged to them. And these, he said quietly, still have a chance. But soon they will wake to silence and find that I have entered. I trembled, Lord, I whispered, how close are we? He lifted his hand, the sea beneath us rippled, and I saw the reflection of a great clock, not the kind that counts hours, but heartbeats. Each beat glowed like molten gold. With every pulse, one word echoed across eternity, now, now, now. Time is no longer counted by days, he said. It is measured by hearts willing to listen. The door behind him began to pulse faster, light flickering like thunder about to speak. He stepped aside, revealing what lay beyond. For the first time, I saw the other side of the door, not clouds or harps, but a vast expanse of light filled with voices, singing one word, come. This, he said, is what waits for those who open. But tell them, those who hesitate will soon face what comes when the door shuts. I looked again and saw a shadow rising behind the earth. Quiet, inevitable. It wasn't evil, it was absence, the silence after mercy. When the door closes, he said, grace will not disappear, it will transform. Those who walked in light will carry it forever. Those who rejected it will feel the emptiness they chose. He turned back toward me, eyes blazing like dawn through rain. This is not a message of doom, he said. It is a message of decision. Every soul is standing before their own door right now. My hand is already on the handle. I will not force it open, but I will not wait much longer. Tears blurred my sight. The light from his presence reflected in them, tiny stars falling from my eyes. What do I tell them, Lord? He stepped closer, and his voice dropped to a whisper that carried all the power of thunder. Tell them I am at the door. Tell them that every storm, every silence, every shaking is my knock. Tell them I love them enough to disturb their comfort. Tell them that what comes next will not destroy the faithful. It will reveal them. He paused. The fire around him softened to gold, and his face, radiant yet familiar, looked straight into me. When they see the world tremble, tell them not to run. Tell them to lift their heads. Redemption is not far, it's at the door. The vision began to fade. The light folded inward, the sea turned still, and his final words echoed like the heartbeat of creation itself. Soon, heaven and earth will become one sound. The door will open fully, and I will step through. Blessed are those who are awake when I do. Everything went silent. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my room, candle burned low, the clock flashing 3:59 a.m. The whisper lingered in the air like perfume after presence. Tell them. I'm at the door. I bowed my head and wept, not from fear, but from awe, because in that moment I finally understood he wasn't warning us about his distance. He was reminding us of his nearness, and in that nearness, heaven and earth are already shaking hands.